This is McCook's Mr. Bill. It is an honor to have you here. I'm out here Sunday. We're having free snow cones for the kids today. Free snow cone day, if you will. And so we've had quite a few come through, but it's slowed down. So I've got time to tell a couple of the stories that have happened this last week. I never know when somebody comes up what story they might have or relate or share to me. And sometimes I just hear stuff on the side. Two women, middle-aged women, mind you, standing off to the side of the candy truck, okay, and they were talking about the high price of everything and that things have skyrocketed. Inflation was brought up a number of times and they were really upset about it. And what was one of the items they specifically talked about that had really skyrocketed? Well, they were from Colorado, just next door to us over here, about 70 miles west of McCook into the Colorado line. But they were over there, lived there, and they were complaining that marijuana over there, the good stuff, had went from $65 for a quarter of an ounce, mind you, $65, it had went up to $90 for a quarter ounce of marijuana. Yeah. And I'm just in there, there's a good reason why I never use that type of thing, wouldn't consider it. Of course, I've never drank or smoked in my life either. But if you do the math on that, that's over $5,700 a pound. $5,700 a pound, mind you, for marijuana, or at least the high-grade stuff that they talked about. Holy cow. Man, you know... How many steaks you could buy for $5,700? You could buy a few cows for $5,700. Holy cow. But that was their complaint, that inflation was hitting their weed supply. That's one story. Another story I had, a guy came, stopped by, and I didn't know him. He's not from this area, but he was visiting relatives, and he said, I just love the blue sky and to be out. And I said, well, so do I. That's why one of the reasons I'm Mr. Bill and I like to go fishing a lot. He said he does too. But he said for the last 3 years he hadn't been able to. And I said, was you sick? He said, no, I was in prison. Prison. Okay. And so I don't have a lack of words. I said, what'd you do? And he said, well, he'd got a divorce. And he said, I just couldn't let go. And his wife then put a restraining order on him, and he broke the restraining order the first time, the second time, and the third time, judge says, I'm tired of it. And he gave me 5 years in prison. 5. He got out in 3 years for good behavior. And he said the prison he said he went to, he said it was one of the more mellow prisons, as if a prison can be. And he said he was treated reasonable. And he said, I don't have any real bad stories to tell you. But he said, needless to say, it was still a culture shock to be in prison. And he said, in that 3 years, I realized just how stupid I was trying to hang on to something that didn't want me anymore. And so he said that was awfully glad to get out of there. He said, I still got 2 years probation. And then another 5 years after that, I can still, if I do anything wrong, they'll still pile both of them on top of me for extra charges. And so he said, I've got a long stretch to behave myself, but he said, I have headed the right direction now. And he said, my mindset is totally different, totally different. And he said, I wish I'd have had this mindset before. I wouldn't have, I'd have been able to let go of my ex-wife and mentally and get through it then. But you never know who is going to come up or what they're going to tell you. But rest assured, every person you see on the street, every person has a story. You've just heard two. Have a good day.